Alright, so video number 2 is how to do this. So I've already pulled this dinosaur picture from my file onto my new canvas that I've made. And I resized him down a little bit so that he fit. Yours probably came on kind of like this. So when you resize him, make sure you hold shift so that he doesn't stretch out. You do not want a dinosaur that looks like this. That is not correct. So I'm going to Control Z and undo twice. There we go. In your layers menu, and I should say this. By the way, I am using a newer version of Illustrator, so a few things on mine might look a little different. My workspace looks a little bit different, but the concept of what I'm doing is all exactly the same, and you can do all of these things on your version of CS6 or whatever school has for Illustrator as well. So if something looks different, it's really not that different. Just look and see, like, for example, my pen tool. It looks a little bit different, but this still works the same as pen tool on your computer, and I'll explain as I go along. So I'm going to lock this layer. So I'm in my layers menu. I'm going to lock this layer of the dinosaur because I don't want him to move. And I'll know if it's locked because if I hover over and I try to draw, it gives me this little pencil with a no sign, like, no, you can't do that. So I know I can't draw on that. So I'm going to create a new blank layer. So I've got layer 2 now. Everything I do for typography is going to be on layer 2. So I won't have any additional layers necessarily. We might have some little circumstance later on where you want to do something and I show you to add another layer, but for the most part, for typography, everything's on one solid layer. So I've got that made. So I'm going to send layers menu back. See you later. And for this project, almost everything is done with this type tool, which you might have used for your personal logo, or you might not have used it yet. So if you're not aware of what type tool does, type tool will create text. All you do for this project to start a word, and we're going to be typing one word at a time. So all you do to start a word is click and then type. Don't click and drag with this tool or else it'll make a text box and that'll cause issues. So all you want to do is click, like I just clicked there, and I'm going to type a word that describes this guy. So he is a dinosaur. I'm going to use that word first because it's nice and long, and I'm going to put that word right across his chest area here, and I'm going to type it in all capital letters. It's important to type in all capital letters, and I'll explain why that is later on. Once you have typed a word, with your selection tool, your black arrow tool, if you press V on your keyboard, it'll give you it really fast. You're going to resize this word so that it fits in a certain color. And it's okay to stretch this because we're going to be stretching this whole word out anyway later on. So it's okay to stretch here. You do not have to hold shift to resize your word. So I've got my word. I'm going to zoom in so that you can see what's going on. I've put it in this part of his chest area, like under his mouth, but above his belly, so that I can fit this word to this whole space here. Currently, I don't see any anchor points on this word when I click on it. There is a step that we're going to have to do to show the anchor points so that we can drag those anchor points up to the edge of the color that I'm working in. So dinosaur is here. I'm going to click on the word to activate it. Then I'm going to right click and I'm going to do this option called Create Outlines. So if I click that, now, and if I go to white arrow tool, it's going to show me my anchor points. Now, because I'm using an updated version of Illustrator, my anchor points look a little different than yours, but just know that these little red dots here, these are your anchor points. And just like if I was trying to readjust a line or readjust a shape, I can grab these anchor points and I can pull them around. So the goal for typography is to make your letters fit along the edge of a particular color. So I'm trying to make my letters fit this edge of the green to black area. So I'm going to pull these up and over. I'm going to grab this one, move this one over. And I'm doing this with a trackpad on a laptop, which is extremely difficult, but you will have a mouse, which makes it much easier to click and drag your points. So the goal is to make it line up really, really neatly. This S, and you'll find the same thing with N's and M's and a few other letters, this S has a lot of anchor points, and it almost is too many to the point where I want to remove a couple of them so that it doesn't look so like twisted and pinched looking. You guys know that with pen tool, you have delete anchor point tool as well. So I'm going to go to delete anchor point tool, and I'm going to remove a couple of these anchor points so that when I go to resize this letter around now, it doesn't look as weird. There we go. So that it looks like it fits more of the area and it's not bent and stretched funny. I'm going to go over here and do this N, and like I was saying, N's have a lot of those anchor points also that are kind of in the way. I don't know why they have these in here, but I'm going to take the delete anchor point tool and I'm going to take them out. Boom, boom, later. Whoops. Make sure you click right on the anchor point. Bye, bye. I'm going to take one out of here too because there's two. And it just makes it like easier for me to move those pieces around. There we go. Okay, so like I said, my goal is to try to create this edge here and this edge here with this word, because eventually this word is going to be turning this green color. It's going to make up that part of the dinosaur. So I don't want these big open spaces of green. I want to kind of minimize that as much as possible, and I'm trying to make my letters get nice and evenly close together. I don't want my letters to touch one another, because like for example, if I had this letter go like this, now I have no idea what these letters are. They're not separate anymore, they're now together, which is not what I want. So I want to leave a nice even little area in between. I'm going to pull this side down a little bit here, pull this down a little bit here. So I'm going to make this nice and even across here so that later on I could put another word going in this area right here. So it's starting to fill up pretty good. I'm not going to do all these letters. I'm going to stop here where I am, but I would do all of these letters, pulling them up to the edge, this one pulling it up, pulling it down to the edge, and then all the way over to this green to black edge, so that it fills in that whole space. When you want to check and see if a word has been successfully done, you can go to your layers and you can hide the picture of the dinosaur. And if you're seeing a nice even line and then a nice even line here where the belly would be, then you know you've pulled those letters in a successful, nice even way. If your letters look more like this, and I see students do this a lot, I'm not sure why you guys do this, but I see people thinking that these points are going to be enough to make up that edge of the dinosaur, but if you hide this, look at all these open areas. It's not making up the edge of that color as evenly as this is. So this would be unsuccessful, this would be successful. Eventually, like I was saying, this word is going to turn this color. So if I click on this word, and then I go to eyedropper tool and I eyedropper this color, and it looks like it disappeared, but it didn't. It's just, now it's that color, so it's exactly the same. Then I can hide the picture and really check and see how my progress is coming along. Remember, these are unsuccessful. This looks pretty good over here. Yeah, and so what I'm going to be looking for when I look at how you've done this, I'll turn the word back to black so you can still see it. What I'm going to be looking for is, are your words successful? I'm going to be looking for you to do at least 4 successful words on this practice dinosaur, and then we're going to be choosing an image that we want to create a typography of. And when I'm back from taking care of my dog with his bum leg, I will be able to explain this more, and I'm going to show you more examples, but you should get a good idea of how to start trying to drag these words around from this video. Alright, good luck guys!